I'm Wes Bohr.
And I'm Caleb Cartwright. And aren't you ugly?
Caleb, are you mocking me?
Yeah, for the second week in a row.
Ooh, what's that mean?
That means we should get into it.
Okay.
Once again, you, our three listeners.
But not you.
But not you. No one likes you. I know what you did last night. Welcome to your new life in a fantasy football world. Once again, episode 17. That's a number. And we're happy to have made it here. Thank you all for joining us, for any feedback that we've shared. This is your lifelong, not year-long, lifelong fantasy podcast. I'm actually committing Wes to it now. He doesn't know this is for life. He signed a contract. You can
subscribe to it, but you are not allowed to unsubscribe. This is a life commitment.
Yeah, and we're expecting a vial of everyone's blood in the mail at some point.
Fingernails, hair samples, anything
like that. Just to really lock in this contract. We're here, obviously, to talk about football. We're here to make it entertaining. We're here to hopefully give you some feedback on some players and parts of fantasy football that's going to help you this year, because we love fantasy football and it's just so much fun, and we want to add to that fun. And it's your turn.
Fun. Back to you, Caleb.
That's thanks for having me. How was your day? How was your week?
It was good. It was challenging. Been pretty tired, so I'm glad we're doing a 9:00 at night podcast. I'm sipping on coffee, which will definitely not let me go to sleep for hours. But it's all for the people. It's all for the podcast.
Maybe we should make this the longest podcast ever then. Some sort of marathon. 24 hours. And then delete the whole thing.
Yeah, I just realized I never hit the record button. Classic Wes, screwing it up again. Now, let me say something before we get into football.
Yeah.
We were starting to get into it before we hit record. Have you or have you not ever seen the movie Aladdin?
Of course, the originals.
Okay.
All of them.
Okay. You've seen Aladdin, the cartoon version?
Yes, all Aladdin cartoon versions. Even the last one, which was what? Aladdin, Prince of Thieves or something like that. The one with the giant turtle and all that.
What?
Well, that one got a little crazy. Oh, apparently you missed it.
Yeah, apparently you were high just watching normal Aladdin.
When I was like 8 years old, I'm just high in my living room.
Smoking marijuana, watching the normal Aladdin. Whoa, I never saw a turtle in this one before.
Yeah, typical 8-year-old in Florida.
Yep, freaking Caleb.
Yeah, so why we were talking about it, obviously, is the new Aladdin's out. I don't know if anybody's seen it. Curious to hear some people's feedback, because I'm not excited to go see it.
And I feel like that's on Will Smith and the special effects department, because that just was a huge turnoff for me.
Yeah. Like, they didn't even have to go for some big name celebrity to play him. They could have just done the regular genie and a voice behind it.
Yeah.
Right?
Robin Williams did set the bar pretty freaking high. I wouldn't want to follow that.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait. So try to liken your players that we talk about to Disney movies as we draft them, because guess what? Today we're doing another mock draft. How does that make you feel?
Makes me feel like there is a movie called Aladdin, King of Thieves.
Oh, dang.
What the heck? Have I never seen this before?
You never saw that?
The King of Thieves disrupts Aladdin and Jasmine's long-anticipated wedding, looking for an oracle that will lead them to an even bigger treasure. His true identity causes trouble for Aladdin. Ooh.
We're going to get the whole synopsis. Send me over the script. We're going to do the whole movie right now, live in the recording.
Whoa. Rated R for excessive nudity and drug use.
All right. Well, we spent almost 5 minutes on this. Let's get into some football.
Okay, sorry.
Only really one piece of news. A great day. Let the trumpets sound.
Prince Ali.
Back to that. Ezekiel Elliott looks like he's not going to face any kind of suspension, any kind of punishment. Everything went quite well. hopefully he can stay out of trouble and he doesn't have to face anything. So feel free, those of you who's using their first early draft pick on him, to let it roll and let it fly, because he easily could lead the league in rushing yards again. So he's a stud running back. Go get him.
Yeah, a sigh of relief for anyone who owns him, or if your draft's coming up and you weren't sure. Honestly, he doesn't really deserve a suspension, considering what some players get away with no suspension. It was a minor altercation, you know. Apparently, he just like pushed a guard to the ground. He's like, "You want some of this?" And the guard's like, "I don't want any of this." And that was it.
Yeah, because I mean, it's like he's allowed to drink. He's allowed to. Get into stuff.
Was he a D-bag? Totally. Is he always going to be having these little stupid things where he has to sit down with the commissioner? Probably, but he's not doing anything crazy stupid yet. And I don't think it warrants a suspension. And if you think it does, it probably just because you hate the Cowboys and you're an Eagles fan.
Yeah, sure. I'm not, but thanks for telling me.
You're not what? An Eagles fan?
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Don't use your smart jokes with me.
Smart jokes or dumb
puns?
Jokes. Dumb puns. That's really it for news. It's going to be a dry couple weeks, everybody.
Giggity.
But in about a couple weeks, training camp starts. Some rookies have to come to camp as early as July 18th. So we're going to have a special episode covering a lot of stuff from training camp at the end of the month, which will be great. But until then,
great.
Mock draft. That's what we're going to do.
Light the beacons. It's time for a mock.
Very excited to do another mock draft. Last week, we did one with some difficult rules for both of us, as we were, Wes, you couldn't draft a quarterback or tight end until after the 10th round, and I had to take both of them very early. This week, we're doing a 10-team half-point PPR draft, and I'm going to be drafting from the number 1 spot. Wes, you're going to draft from the 10th, and we can kind of do our own strategies here. I'm going to go kind of round robin with the positions, starting at running back, then wide receiver, running back, that sort of thing. Wes, you've already said you are going to wait several rounds till you take anything but running back.
Caleb, quick thing. When you were a kid and went to McDonald's, what did you order? Did you go cheeseburger or McNugget?
Cheeseburger. Yeah. I hated McNuggets. Sorry.
Oh, dang it.
Was there a joke in there?
Well, it was kind of like a teaser, and I don't know where to go from here. I'll just tell you, there was a nugget of information I was going to tell you right now, but I was going to save it for later. But you were supposed to say, I went with the McNuggets. I'm going to say, you like those nuggets? I got a great nugget for you. But you ruined it, Caleb.
Well, now just tell me the news, because okay, I just need to know.
I was going to do it so the people that are listening will actually finish an episode. Since 2014, Caleb, and this will back your hate of quarterbacks. 43% of quarterbacks that finished in the top 5, okay, in the positions they were drafted outside the top 12. So 43% of the quarterbacks that finished in the top 5 since 2014 were drafted outside of the top 12, meaning quarterbacks are a crapshoot.
Yeah, I love those statistics. I love when things solidify my thinking and my thought process, because rarely does that ever happen. Usually I'm just dumb.
When you actually have evidence that your statement had some sort of solid ground.
Yeah. I'm not just blabbering. Yeah, it's sure. If you can get one of the top 3 guys, you're going to have a top 10 quarterback for sure. Doesn't mean they're going to finish number 1. They could finish 10. Do you really want to use a second-round draft pick on the 10th quarterback?
Not to get you on a quarterback hate rant. I just wanted to hit you with some knowledge.
Yeah, you're right. I need to back off. Let's do this draft. So, as we stated, that's the way it's going to go. Going to start this thing, and I since I'm at the number 1, I get to start. And currently in my rankings, Ezekiel Elliott is my number 1 running back. And so it's an easy decision for me here to take Ezekiel Elliott.
Now, I have the last pick in the first round, and I am going no receiver. It's sort of like the no running back concept, 0 running back. I'm doing 0 receiver, so I probably won't draft a receiver like the 4th round.
Yeah.
See what happens. So with the last pick in the first round, I'm taking Michael. No, I'm just kidding.
Barkley went 4, by the way.
God, man.
4 here.
Don't say that. Everyone's going to think this mock draft isn't legit. That Saquon Barkley fell to 4. Good God.
Oh, they are. We're doing this again on the Sleeper platform. Everybody loves Sleeper. It's all good.
So 3 running backs looking at me. Le'Veon Bell, Joe Mixon, James Conner. I will go just because of volume, Le'Veon Bell. Oh, it doesn't matter. I have back-to-back picks. I love the 10th pick, man. I love it's so nice.
It's like the best one.
God.
Now I am very curious who you take here, because in your rankings you got Dalvin Cook up number 5 in your rankings.
Yeah. I'm looking at Dalvin Cook. Joe Mixon, I've never been a fan of, even though I feel like he has a lot of potential. James Conner scares me a little just because of injury, and
the Bengals did just lose their starting left tackle for the season, so.
Yep. That's why I'm going with Dalvin Cook. Caleb, that's why you're a salesman.
Todd Gurley went as the 12th pick. I don't know. How do you feel about Todd Gurley at this point?
Oh, man, I don't like it. He'd have to drop a crazy amount for me to draft him, because like we've said, these first few rounds are supposed to be your studs. Todd Gurley has just so many question marks. He looks like the Riddler.
He's just so good. I don't know. But
was so good.
I'm kind of, again, doing round robin. And Mike Evans, I think, is the best value at wide receiver at this point. So I'm not going to take a tight end this early. Sorry. I know last week I did. But sorry, Travis Kelce. You're not my guy. I'm going for Mike Evans. Because he's going to kill in that extremely pass-happy offense.
He's totally going to
kill. And since I now have back-to-back, oh, man. I'm just afraid of Damian Williams. I think I mentioned that a few weeks back, that I'm starting to think that I don't want to own him. He could be great, but he has, to me, a lot of danger. So I'm going to actually avoid running backs again on this turn. And I'm going to take T.Y. Hilton, who I also love right this year.
You know, Todd Gurley, I just Googled his name to see what the stories were. You want to hear the top story on Todd Gurley?
He's a B. Oh.
Gurley, quote, darn near almost got into 30 fights defending Carmelo Anthony. So factor that into his draft status.
That he can fight 30 people at once? Well, yes. Shall I?
Yes, you shall. Ooh.
Okay. Kelce went right after me. Damian Williams, Fournette. Derrick Henry went before Devontae Freeman, Marlon Mack, Josh Jacobs.
Dude, I really like my next 2 draft picks I'm going to do. Oh, crap. So in the 3rd round, I'm going to pick what I think is arguably number 1 tight end in Zach Ertz. And then follow that up with a guy that I'm getting hot on, that it will be like fingernails on the chalkboard to Caleb. My flex will be Kerryon Johnson.
You
well, slap me thrice and hand me to my mother.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm trying to see where he ended up falling. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 as the 19th running back. So, but man, that's good. You got him after Josh Jacobs, after Derrick Henry, Leonard Fournette.
Put your hands together. Put your hands together. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together.
Like to lick a lemon lolly, I'll tell you that. Somebody we're going to talk about later is who I'm going to take here at my next pick. I think that he has a lot more value on a team that needs him more than people are giving him credit for. And that's Mr. Mark Ingram.
Ooh.
I think that he is he's going to be the number 1 workhorse back on that team, and I got some information later that I'm going to tell you why he's going to be running so much.
Some insider information.
Oh yeah, insider. I'm his cousin, actually.
I thought you guys looked alike.
And this next one, This is also a tough one for me because of somebody else that I want that I'm not going to get if I wait another round. Because I think Julian Edelman, I know you're not as high on Julian Edelman as I am this year, but I think he's going to be really good this year. But I am actually going to steer a different direction, and I'm going to go Robert Woods.
You jackass!
I think Robert Woods is going to be the best receiver on the Rams team.
Seeing that I need a receiver, I was really hoping that he would fall to me.
Hey.
Darn it to heck. Well, I got to go receiver here. In the 5th round, I'm looking at Cooper Kupp, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Lockett, Chris Godwin, your freaking mother. Nothing too appealing.
I don't know. There's still some sexy cats going on right now.
Well, most cats are sexy, Caleb. But Tyler Lockett is also sexy. I like Tyler Lockett, but I don't like the offense he's in. Chris Godwin, I like. Cooper Kupp, if I knew he was healthy, I'd be all over that. This is hard, man.
Is it that he would be your first wide receiver off the board? Is that why you're afraid to take Kupp here?
Yeah, because I want someone that is their number one that's healthy. But
you do have back-to-backs here. Are you tilting?
You're right, I have two. Cooper Kupp, and I'm going to swing it around with Tyler Lockett. And zero craps are given because
excellent.
I just have a feeling about Tyler Lockett. Russell Wilson is not going to throw for 5,000 yards like everyone else, or 4,000 even, but I feel like Tyler Lockett could put up 1,000, maybe 6-7 touchdowns, or 1 million.
He could, 1 million. Mike Williams went.
I think he'll pull off the first ever season where he catches more He'll have more touchdowns than catches, perhaps.
14 touchdowns in 5 games. Again, I'm still not going quarterback and tight end because I can definitely wait. There's a lot of value there, especially at quarterback, and I think we're both leaning that way this season. But on the other end of it, I have 2 running backs. I got Elliott and Mark Ingram. I need another running back. I got Tevin Coleman staring at me. Darius Geis, who's starting to climb. Lamar Miller, James White. We talked about this last week. The running back depth this year drops considerably. It's all going to be sleepers after the first 5 rounds when it comes to running backs. Like, you don't know who is going to step up there.
Exactly.
Now we're doing 2 running back, 3 wide receiver, and a flex. So I'm not that concerned at having another number 1 running back because I have 2 starting running backs right now. So even though I need another running back, I am actually going to hold.
Everybody hold.
And I'm going to take another wide receiver that I love because AJ Green is healthy. I love Tyler Boyd even more, and I want him on my team.
Very nice. I think you're starting to sway me towards the Boyd side.
Hey.
The Boyds are back in town.
AJ Green could be fantastic, but that just means even more for Boyd.
Yeah, didn't Boyd do better when Green was healthy, right?
Yeah.
Like, Tyler Boyd benefits from having the number 1 cornerback all over that Green.
Yeah. He did decent either way, but he did even better. I do have the other
didn't make sense.
side of things, and I'm going to take the upside on your guy because you've just been talking him up, and I'm going to go Darius Geis here as he can sit back on my bench for the first couple weeks. I can see what's going to happen.
Come on. Yes.
Ooh. Who'd you get? Penny? Who do you want here?
Wait, where'd he go? Oh, there he is. Okay, so I feel pretty nice that this is my 3rd receiver. I feel like his potential is pretty darn high. DJ Moore.
Penis? Oh, DJ Moore, yeah. I agree.
Yes, I see Alshon Jeffrey, Dante Penis, Will Fuller. They're all still there, but my receivers are full, so I'm going to look quarterback. My favorite quarterback of the year right now, Baker Mayfield, sitting there.
Oh. Back in the 8th round, by the way.
That's true.
That's pretty decent for Baker. Actually, Matt Ryan and Deshaun Watson went ahead of him.
Just looking at my other options, you got Latavius Murray, you got Rashad Penny, Alshon Jeffrey. No one that I really am in love with. I am in love with Baker Mayfield. I know this Caleb won't like the quarterback going this high, but I feel like 8th round, someone that I'm not just saying I need a quarterback, someone that I know is going to be my starter from week 1 to 17. Baker Mayfield is the pick.
Yeah, I don't see him going anywhere. So it's nice when you have certain players in positions that you just put them in your starting roster and you don't think about it.
You said it.
They're done.
And lock it in.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what you do. I need to know the wide receiver. Somehow, actually, Dante Penis got back to me, and I'm really excited for this Penis. So I'm going to take him because I'm surprised that he got back to me. I really am. Back in the 9th round, his ADP is the 803.
Well, yeah, I mean, he has been rising for sure.
And I made him, and I accidentally clicked on my second pick, but now I have Will Fuller on my team.
Which actually could be a really good pick.
It could be. I like Will Fuller. I just didn't even have time to think about it.
It was just, it's just your body knew. Oh, man. Okay.
I know who you're taking here.
Who am I taking here, Caleb? Tell me who I'm taking here.
You're taking Larry Fitz.
Larry!
Yeah,
Larry Fitzgerald.
Fell
Easy
to you.
pick, man. As much as I hated my draft last week, this one I am rock solid on, man. Like, I wish this was my real team. Shucks. Let me
half-point PPR, and your running backs are receiving stud running backs, which is awesome. You got Bell, Cook, Kerryon Johnson, who, again, we'll talk about Johnson later. Yeah,
freaking forget about it.
I'd be happy.
This guy, when you look at the rankings, he's not super high right there, but I like him, and I know he's not going to make his way back to me. I think he's going to have a pretty good year this year. For the Green Bay Packers, wide receiver, Geronimo!
Oh. All right. So are you still holding on to Geronimo over Marquez Valdez-Scantling right now?
Oh, yeah. I think that guy, I know he's rising, and whatever. There's a lot of talk about him. I still think Geronimo healthy. He's got a rapport with Aaron Rodgers that can't be beat.
Yeah.
Except Devontae Adams.
Now, so I'm looking tight ends right now. Eric Ebron, Jared Cook, Vance McDonald, Hunter Henry's gone. This is that impasse to me when I've waited this long to take a tight end. There's one on the board right now that I think that I have to jump on if I want him, and that's David Njoku. Back in the 10th round, I can get Njoku, who is on a very appealing offense. He's played decently over the past couple of years, but hasn't been lightning by any means. There's a couple of other tight ends that I think I'm equally as excited about if I was going to wait, but it's slimming down. I'm going to take a chance in the 10th round. I'm going to go Njoku because I think that's actually a value back here. Yeah,
from the guys that are left, I would say it's a good pick because after that, it kind of drops off to some rookies, Austin Hooper, the Pooper, Trey Burton. Yeah.
Now I get a little bit more scared because I really only have 2 for sure running backs. I have Darius Geist there, and now I'm going to that point of
you're going to get quarterback.
Ifs. I'll wait till the last pick on my quarterback.
So dang cool.
We're only doing 12 rounds this time. It's fine. So here, I do like the possible upside of Jalen Samuels because he could step in so easily. Yeah. Deontay Foreman. Again, you said before, Lamar Miller is so unexciting. He could disappear at any moment. Jerick McKinnon, I mean, that team, unfortunately, you don't know where it's going. You don't know if he's going to be healthy, but if he was healthy, I can imagine they're going to use him to death.
Till he's dead.
Until he's dead. But this is actually a really tough pick for me. Here, if I'm trying to choose a last running back, who would I rather have the flyer on? Jalen Samuels or Deontay Foreman?
Dude, you have everybody on the edge of their seat that's listening right now, including myself.
I like the Steelers' offense more, so
yes,
I'm taking the upside of something happening.
Hold.
Foreman did not get back to you.
Gosh, man, one pick. I really wanted Foreman in the worst.
The worst way.
In the worst, most perverse way.
Yeah.
Dude, for a second I saw Damian Harris and I'm like, what? Damian Williams is still like, what the?
How did this happen? You're sitting there with only 3 running backs.
I know. I really wanted to make that a good running back pick. And what I'm going to do is just because
Smith could start on that team if Freeman goes down.
You shut that mouth if you knew it was good for you, Caleb.
Just trying to sway you.
That's nice advice. I'm going to take this pick because I know he's going to get production, at least early on in the season. At the middle to the end, probably not, but wow, God, man. I have no conviction whatsoever. I can talk myself out of anything. I'm looking at Devin Singletary. I'm a big fan of the guy. Is he going to make a big impact this year? I don't know, but I think he will be a great Buffalo Bills running back. I'm looking at Adrian Peterson, who is not too thrilling, but he's going to get me some points, I know for sure. So he's the for sure thing. Devin Singletary, higher ceiling. Peyton Barber, I don't think so. Austin Eckler, I'm just going to do this. And everyone can just shush it if they don't like it. Take Adrian Peterson.
Hey, man, you might get a couple of weeks out of him where he's 100-yard game, maybe.
Nah.
There's some possibility there.
And I fooled you all, and I took them both. I took Devin Singletary, too.
That's your last pick.
Daddy likes the running backs.
Coming back to me, I need to get a quarterback. And see, this is why I wait. All right.
This is why
I could have Ben Roethlisberger. I can get Prescott back here. But I'm still going to take the chance on a quarterback I really believe in this year, and that's Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh, okay.
I had to take him. I really
was going to say, if you went
Derek
to Josh
Carr.
Allen.
No. Derek Carr is there, and I really believe in him, but Ben Roethlisberger is always not the best quarterback, but somebody on a weekly basis that he rarely completely sputters out. So, what's your team?
Okay, Caleb, pretend we're going up against each other this week. You'd be looking at a quarterback, Baker Mayfield, running back, Le'Veon Bell and Dalvin Cook. Wide receivers, the weaker part, the one that I waited till like the 5th. I got Tyler Lockett, DJ Moore, and Cooper Kupp, which if his health holds up, I'm happy with that. Zach Ertz as my tight end, my running back, Kerryon Johnson. And then, if Cooper Kupp isn't healthy, I just have a future Hall of Famer, Larry Fitzgerald, and Geronimo Allison as backup receivers. And backup running backs, I have Peterson for a safety net and a high ceiling Devin Singletary. So I'm happy with that roster. I'm really happy with that roster.
Yeah, I'm kind of scared, actually. I mean, honestly, your wide receivers could have 5 touchdowns in week 1 if they're healthy.
Well, why don't you tell me a little bit about Caleb Cartwright's team?
No, I'm just staring at your team because you have Kerryon Johnson and you're a jerkhead and a jerk face. You're stupid.
You keep those pants on, Caleb.
Well, listen, Baker Mayfield is going to have to go against the leading quarterback in his division. He's going to have to prove himself against Ben Roethlisberger. I know people don't like him. I know people think he's a douche, but he's a great quarterback that's going to throw for 5,000 yards this season without Antonio Brown. Then you have to go against arguably the number 1 running back this year in Ezekiel Elliott. You have to go with the upside of Mark Ingram, the workload. Then you have to go against 2 top 10 wide receivers and Mike Evans on the Bucs and T.Y. Hilton on the Colts. Andrew Luck is only getting better. Easily forget Cooper Kupp. If Cooper Kupp's healthy, fine. But if he's not, guess who's going to get everything? Robert Woods. Then I got Tyler Boyd in my slot and my flex. David Njoku is my tight end. On the bench, I got Darius Geis, Dante Pettis, Will Fuller. I have some touchdown machines down there if they can stay healthy. And Jalen Samuels will be a handcuff and a possible flex play, standalone value. So,
dude, I'll tell you what, your team would be really awesome depending on if Geis takes that over and you're one Connor injury away from Jalen Samuels is a number 1 running back if Connor ever goes down. And your receiving core, man. Jeez, I'm looking at your receivers, a little jealous.
You know what? Is Jalen Samuels still listed as a tight end running back?
I think he's a kicker
Yahoo?
now.
Okay. Because I'm like, I have to think about that because we play a lot on Yahoo.
I'm pretty sure they
tight end running back, like his value shoots up.
I'm pretty sure they are going to change that. Because everyone was like complaining about that last year.
Yeah. It was a little wacky. But if it was still, it's something you got to keep in mind when you're going into your drafts.
Yeah, it could be wacky.
So that was it. That was a mock draft. No more talking for you.
Ah.
What do we got?
Am I to talk?
Yes. I know I took the privilege away, but I'm giving it back.
Okay. Well, then in that case, Caleb, you can go buck the trends.
Oh.
And
what do you mean by that?
I was going to ask you the same thing.
So, we're going to talk about some trending players in the fantasy football universe. Players that people are talking about via Twitter, via Instagram, via the interweb. It's this new thing where you can search for anything on it and you can just find it.
Think of it as a newspaper that's interactive.
Yeah, it's very strange. I don't think it's going to catch on, but we'll see. So our first trending player that we want to talk about, and it's going to be up to us to decide whether or not we think these are positive trends or negative trends, but I think we know where this first one's going. Kerryon Johnson is skyrocketing up people's titillating taste buds. They are loving Kerryon Johnson. There's a couple of doubters out there, and I get it. He needs to play a full workhorse season and see where he goes. But the numbers are there. He is an awesome receiver. He has a very high yards per carry. He is in a offense that Darrell Bevel is now going to be calling the shots, who is extremely run heavy. He came from the Seahawks after years and years working with Marshawn Lynch. It's like the perfect situation for a player to have a breakout season. And I was reading on Detroit Free Press covering on the Lions. Running back Kerryon Johnson is a true receiving threat this year. They expect him to get a lot more looks. Last year, I don't remember the exact numbers.
40.
40.
What are you talking
40. About? Yeah, that's probably it. Yes, you still have players. Yeah, how many targets he had?
Oh, okay. He had 32 catches.
32 catches. Upwards of 40 targets.
Are you serious?
That's in a season. Yeah, that's in a season where he didn't play the whole season. He was a rookie. However you want to play it, right? Yes, Theo Riddick is still there. They brought in C.J. Anderson. I mean, I don't see C.J. Anderson really taking any jobs from him. This has literally written all over it that he's going to be a stud this year. He's only going to get targeted more in the passing game. And I think he finished somewhere around running back 20 last season for the games he did play. Awesome value where you can get him back in. Where did you grab him? Like the 4th round. So yeah. I think it's all positive news. Kerryon Johnson is a stud of man this year.
Yeah. Yeah. He's growing on me in a fungal-like way. I can't get him off. He's more stuff that comes out of Detroit, like you said, going to be run heavy. He can catch the ball. It's music to the ears of fantasy owners. A little whisper out of Detroit is Theo Riddick might be on the roster bubble, and if they cut him, they're going to save almost $4 million. That Theo Riddick does nothing but catch the ball out of the backfield. Yeah. C.J. Anderson does not catch many balls. Kerryon Johnson, that would make him very appealing and very exciting. But yeah,
over under 70 targets.
Ooh, over. Put me down for over. Hot take, hot take.
Yeah, if he has over 70 targets, top 10 back, probably. All right.
Well, listen, he had 40 targets in 10 games, and he only started 7 of those games. So take that number.
Take that number.
Take that number and stick it up your butt.
Oh no, I was going to go wrong direction there. Right. Our next trending player we want to talk about is Sony Michel. Mr. Bohr, do you have anything to say about Sony Michel?
Basically, just what I've been seeing about him is he had that knee surgery in the offseason. He's progressing really well, which the whole reason they drafted Damian Harris, is because they're kind of worried about that. That's going to be a stacked running backfield. But the little controversial part is he's been spending a lot of time at TB12, the place that rubs Bill Belichick the wrong way. That's where he's been rehabbing and stuff. But health-wise, he's looking great. It just might be he might not be getting as many opportunities as he did last year.
Yeah, honestly, to me, it sounds like, I don't know, James White value should continue to go up because James White is healthy. He's already established as a pass-catching back, the main pass-catching back. He had a huge season last year. I know you're big on James White, and I would almost consider taking James White over Sony Michel this year if I had to make a choice. Ronald Jones is also trending, and I don't know if it's just people's curiosity, because Bruce Arians came out and talked about the running back core that he had, that everybody was fine, that nobody was especially standing out. Ronald Jones is looking healthy. He's looking lighter than he was. And so that's a backfield that can be up for the taking. So to me, hey, if you're going to take a sleeper on a player, you can get Ronald Jones pretty late. And why not? Peyton Barber, I don't think has a stranglehold on that backfield by any means. It's still not a player. I'm not saying go out and grab this guy as your number 3 running back because that's way too risky. But as a sleeper in what may be a high-powered offense, okay. I still don't like Ronald Jones, though.
I Googled Ronald Jones, and all it said was a guy named Ronald Jones has been linked to the murder of an 88-year-old woman. So I would not draft him.
Wouldn't that be funny if that's why it's trending? It's just some other Ronald Jones.
It was Ronald Jones the second,
murdering people.
Not the third. So the Buccaneers did use a second-round pick, a high second-round pick on Ronald Jones last year. Had terrible training camp, just was not picking things up the way he should. It's all different this year. He's coming in with confidence. He's eager to make that leap. I'm excited about him, and where you can get him is very appealing as someone that you can get late, and you wouldn't have to feel bad about cutting him a few weeks into the season. If he doesn't pan out, it's not going to hurt your team much, but he could easily. The Buccaneers want him to take that starting job. He's going to get every opportunity possible, and I feel like week 1 he will be your starter in Tampa Bay. So if you can grab him as maybe your running back 4, and it turns out you get a number 1 running back on, not number 1 in fantasy, but number 1 running back for his team, I think that's awesome. He could be your bye week fill-in. I mean, what are you talking about, man? What do you want?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when you're looking at late round sleepers, I mean, what other options are you going to really look for? He has the option to take over that backfield, like you said, with high draft capital. I know he wasn't Bruce Arians' pick, but you're right. I mean, if you're going for somebody, why not go for him?
Yeah.
Next guy, a little bit more highly touted, is James Conner. So he came out and they talked about how it might be more of an RBBC. But historically, with Mike Tomlin, he doesn't do RBBCs. The only time he ever really did it was back when, oh my gosh, pretty much everybody was injured on the team. Not just their their number 1 and their number 2, but like everybody was injured. So he had to use multiple running backs. That's it. Otherwise it's been Le'Veon Bell, who is Williams. What's his name? You know,
Damian.
You let me flounder. Not Damian Williams. Anyway, multiple guys. He's always liked workhorse backs. So James Conner more recently came out and tweeted he fully expects to have the same role as he did last season. That being said, he did not play a whole season. James Conner did deal with some injuries, which is why if you do take a player like James Conner, you may think about drafting Jalen Samuels later, not just as a handcuff, but Jalen Samuels can add some of his own value. Nevertheless, don't be afraid to take James Conner early because I still think he's going to take that RB1 role.
Yeah, James Conner, he is poised to have a good year this year. It's just And like you said, Pittsburgh never really has RBCCCC. Basically, they just have they go back. They have had Willie Parker, Jerome Bettis. They've had Rashard Mendenhall, Le'Veon Bell. All these guys, they just ran into the ground. There was no real splitting of the carries. Maybe last year they learned something when James Conner had a really strong first half, and then the second half he was hurt. He wasn't getting near the production. And it might not even be Jalen Samuels comes onto the field, James Conner gets off the field. They've been running a lot of 2 running back sets where you might have James Conner as your running back and Jalen Samuels, someone that goes out in the flat. So there's a lot of interesting things going on in Pittsburgh. Does it concern me about James Conner? Slightly, but not enough that I would drop him significantly in my rankings.
Where he's being drafted, are you going to avoid drafting him, though, over Smith-Schuster, Chubb, Cook?
Cook might tempt me. Chubb doesn't do anything for me. And
especially in a PPR.
Yeah. Not even.
Yeah.
Never mind. Keep it clean, Wes. Keep it clean. But yeah, I mean, James Conner, I feel like if he'd get the same sort of commitment from the coaching staff as he did last year, I know he said he's going to get the same production, but that's just a running back talking. I mean, David Njoku came out saying he wants 20 touchdowns. I'm not raising my rankings because he said that. He's just a player. Mm-hmm. So if he would get the 30 carries, 7 catches a game, of course I would love to draft him. I just don't see Pittsburgh doing that, especially with them drafting a running back. They have Jalen Samuels. They have James Conner. I mean, you don't need to run James Conner into the ground. So, yeah. I think I wouldn't. I'd drop him where some people have him ranked. I like Dalvin Cook more than him, but I still think he's definitely worth being a number 1 running back on your team. Definitely a nice high-end number 2.
So how about Matt Breida? Yeah. What do you think about Matthew?
I don't know, man. I was looking. I don't see much news about the dude. I just know he was the subject of a lot of trade rumors. I guess out of all the running backs in San Francisco, he's the one they're most likely to trade. When he's healthy, he's a really good running back. We saw that last year. But he has injury history. He has to fight McKinnon, Coleman, Mustard. I mean, that just 49ers running backs just makes me sick to my stomach until I explode out the rectorial because I don't want anything to do with it. No one can even come out and say who's going to be your running back.
Right.
Like, I feel like on their depth chart's just going to be 4 running backs as their number 1 running back. I have no clue. They have no clue. I don't know what they're going to do. Hand the ball off 60 times a game?
They'll probably rotate it a lot of times. I comp Matt Breida to like Chris Thompson on the Redskins, right? He is a great receiving back when he's healthy, but also gets hurt a lot. But if you have him healthy in a game, I feel like he's going to catch 5-6 balls at the least and get some carries in there and a possible touchdown. So if he is playing for a team and he's healthy and on the field, to me, he's worth having as a streaming flex option in that case. I'm not going to take him again as my 1, 2, or 3. But if he went to the Buccaneers in a pass-happy team like that, if he was traded to them, sure, I will take him as a undrafted, pick him off the waivers and play him for a week when he's healthy.
Dude, if he would get traded, this changes everything. But right now, I'm reading this article from 3 days ago. According to Sports Illustrated, he's the odd man out right now in the backfield when it comes to the timeshare. They like Coleman, McKinnon backfield as a 1-2 punch with Mustard as the backup. So they're definitely going to look for a trading partner.
We're going to have to get a moose sound effect so we can... I don't even know what they sound like.
I'm pretty sure a moose don't moo.
How do you know? Maybe they bark like a dog. Hey, did anybody see that moose?
What was that? Someone have a moose out here? A moose. Moose.
Our last player to profile, as we are obviously running away with our time, is Rashad Penny. Again, I know Rashad Penny is a player that you're pretty high on. Last year, in his short time, he had 85 attempts, 419 yards. That's 4.9 yards a carry. Only 2 touchdowns, unfortunately, and 9 receptions. So a small sample size, but he was very efficient. He dealt with some health issues too, and it was back and forth on that team on whether or not he was actually going to be ready for the starting position. I think his biggest problem is Chris Carson is in front of him, and Chris Carson is a really good wide receiver or running back on that team. A lot of people think Rashad Penny is slotted to take a bigger role, and he might, but I still believe the Seahawks have no problem keeping 2 running, high-end running backs in that field. Chris Carson goes down. I think Rashad Penny becomes one of the most valuable handcuffs or, just kind of like Jalen Samuels. Jalen Samuels' value skyrockets, but so would Rashad Penny's on a very run-heavy team.
Yeah. I'm looking at a couple articles. They said Rashad Penny could easily see more carries than Chris Carson this year. He's grown up. He's impressed the staff. I know last year he came in overweight, took more of a casual attitude. He seems more serious about everything right now. And here's something, Caleb, that might make your ears a little perky. The Seahawks running backs will be running a lot more routes this year as wide receivers. So I don't know, man. I was just said, what?
I've been perked.
Yeah, so I
guess
like
my only
him.
fear is that Chris Carson is more. I don't know if who catches more balls in that offense. That's my only concern is who's going to be catching it.
Well, I just think I like Chris Carson a lot, but the fact they had a highly criticized first-round pick they used on Rashad Penny, I feel like it's almost like a Ronald Jones. Like they're going to give him the slight upper hand just because of what they had to do to get him on the team.
What they spent on him. But keep in mind, they still have CJ Prosise, JD McKissick on that team. They have a lot of running backs that they have used in the past. All those running backs have had games and moments where they shine. Something about Pete Carroll, he'll you think a game's going to go in and everybody's healthy and your player's going to do a lot, and all of a sudden CJ Prosise comes in and takes 20 carries that game.
Yeah, good old Pete. Sometimes you think you're at the 1 yard line, you have the best running back to short yardage running back, and you throw a slant in the Super Bowl and it gets intercepted, you stupid son of a...
It's so scary.
God. I hate him forever.
That's it. We're done bucking those trends, figuring them out.
That'll be fun to say for a couple of weeks.
This week, we're going to change up team evaluations a little bit because we want to get through them before the heavy draft season comes in.
And we're going to do it fast because we have 12 minutes before an hour. God,
so we're going to take the AFC North as a whole. Wes, you are going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns.
Okay.
And I am going to handle the Baltimore Ravens and Cincinnati Bengals. Would you like to go first here?
Yeah, I'll start with Cleveland, who had one of the most exciting off seasons in recent memory. I was looking at their free agency signings. They really didn't do much in free agency. They signed basically Sheldon Richardson for 3 years, almost $40 million, which is a great addition to that defensive line, but that gets mixed up in the shuffle of all that they were doing. They signed Kareem Hunt to a year, controversial, but his talent, you can't really argue about that. But the big trade, that was the big deal this offseason. They traded for Odell Beckham Jr. And a little cherry on top of that trade is they got Oliver Vernon. Am I saying that right, Caleb?
Olivier.
Oh, who would name their boy Olivier? Should have been Oliver.
He's an old Dolphin.
I know. That's why I asked you. Olivier Vernon. So that defensive line, man, it's going to look good. They go into the draft. They don't have a first-round pick because of the Odell Beckham trade. Well, what happens? Oh, arguably the top cornerback falls right into their laps, Greedy Williams. And there's not much to talk about fantasy-wise about the draft because they drafted every single pick was a defensive player except the 5th and 6th round, which was a kicker and a tackle. So... pretty thrilling stuff. But the offense, man, totally redone. This is the equivalent of a super team in the NBA. Like when LeBron, D. Wade, and Chris Bosh, this is the closest you're going to get in the NFL in an offseason. They have Baker Mayfield at quarterback. Their running backs is Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, and Duke Johnson, who just a year or two ago was a must-have on your fantasy team because of his PPR value. Wide receivers, Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry. The maybe forgotten a little bit, Antonio Callaway. Tight end, David Njoku. That defensive line, you have Myles Garrett, all pro man, Sheldon Richardson, Olivier Vernon. I mean, it's not just the offensive side of the ball. The cornerbacks are Denzel Ward. I mean, he was a great draft pick for him last year. Greedy Williams, Demarius Randall, they're going to have a solid team if they can put it all together. Now, I know we're supposed to keep this quick, so I'm going right into my watch and avoid. Who am I watching, Caleb?
Can't be an obvious one. Oh, man.
Come on. You can do it.
Nick Chubb.
Blech. Antonio Callaway.
Oh.
He's the
I wasn't looking at the depth chart, so it was tougher.
He's the 76th receiver being taken around Irv Smith, the tight end rookie for the Vikings, Demarcus Robinson of the Chiefs, and Rex Burkhead. This guy had a lot of blow-up plays last year where he just broke free of the defense. But this year, with Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham, he's going to be having the team's number 3 cornerback on him. He has home run ability, man, and I feel like he's not going to go for 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. But the fact that he's probably not even being drafted in your leagues, he's going to have a couple weeks where he's going to give you some solid production. So I feel like he's someone you want to keep an eye on. My avoid...
I liked him last year. I just afraid there's too many mouths to feed, so I'm scared.
Well, don't be scared. Okay. My avoid...
Yeah,
are you going to guess it, you son of a...
Sorry. Jarvis Landry.
Ah, spot on, my friend. Wide receiver 26 right now being ranked around Tyler Boyd, Darius Geis, DJ Moore. All these guys I like much better. Last year he had 81 catches for 976 yards and 4 touchdowns. In 12 games, Odell Beckham had 77 catches over 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns with Eli, mother-loving, slow as can be, stinky time to retire, Manning. You have, like you were talking about, all those mouths to feed. Callaway, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Njoku. Now you have Odell Beckham. And the inconsistency, me no likey. He had 9 single-digit fantasy football games last year compared to only 7 double digits. So more than half his weeks he had single digits. Not a fan. Over under 9. Caleb, what do you say? What do you say?
It's got disappointment written all over it. I'll take the 8.
Oh, okay. I'm taking the over. I feel like they can go. I feel like they could go 10-6. I mean, with they hit,
I want them to.
They hit their stride in the second half of the year. I feel like that could carry over. I'm not saying everyone thinks they're going to the Super Bowl. I don't think they're going to the Super Bowl. I could see them sneaking in as a wild card at 10-6.
Definitely.
Well, if it's definitely, you'd say over.
I get it. I just think it has that free agency disappointment.
I feel like you could be right, Caleb. I feel like the hype is getting a little out of hand, but I could see 10. Go ahead.
Thanks for taking half of our allotted time.
Yep.
Baltimore Ravens. All right. What needs to be said about them? They drafted in the first round a possible stud wide receiver in Marquise Brown, offensive linebacker, then another wide receiver in Miles Boykin, then another running back, guard, cornerback, defensive tackle, quarterback. They definitely went a strong mix, but they clearly have a desire to help out their Lamar Jackson. So many people love Lamar Jackson this year. We've talked about why we don't like him. But he's their starting running back or starting quarterback as they traded away Joe Flacco this year, in the free agency. He's their guy. Who do I like, though? I love Mark Ingram. I love Gus Edwards. I love Justice Hill. I love their running back core on this team because I think they're going to rush like crazy. I don't see Lamar Jackson throwing more than 25 times at any point in any game for any reason. So that means there's going to be a lot of rushing yards. Yes, some of them will be his own. This is a point I wanted to make earlier when I drafted Mark Ingram. They have 2 fullbacks on their roster. I don't know that it'll go into the season that way, but they might be the only team that we've looked at that have 2 fullbacks, right, on their roster. And that means to me that they want to run the ball. And they also have some very good blocking tight ends. Mark Andrews, Hayden Hurst, Nick Boyle. They have a lot of big guys that I can see them going for 2 tight end sets. Mark Andrews has been talked about as a standout. He could be a very sneaky sleeper tight end this year. They have a lot of value on that team, in my opinion. Wes, who am I avoiding?
Lamar Motherlovin Jackson.
Yeah, I don't even need to say anything about that. It's Lamar Jackson. And who do I like on the team?
Mark Ingram.
I do.
Hayden Hurst.
Watch Mark Andrews, not Hayden Hurst. Mark Andrews is going to be the lead tight end on that team. He is shining. He performed way better than Hayden Hurst after Hayden Hurst got injured then. That wasn't the reason. But wide receivers are going to be difficult to love on this team. Love the tight ends. Over under, I'm looking for it right now. 8.5. I think the Ravens still have it in them to do better than the Browns by getting 9 wins.
I say under. I feel like they got some tape on Lamar Jackson, and they can study it in this offseason, and they're going to say, welcome to the NFL. Fool, you can't do that.
Good. Then Robert Griffin can come in.
Yes.
All right. You got it.
Let's go to Pittsburgh. Get in your plane, Caleb, and take a little flight over to Pittsburgh.
I'm headed. I'm going.
Where in free agency, we signed Steve Nelson from the Chiefs. A lot of money thrown his way. Is he going to fit over there? Probably not, because the Steelers suck at evaluating cornerbacks. Dante Moncrief, little sleeper, huh? He's going to go to a place where the quarterback will throw him the ball a lot. Mark Barron, they spent a lot of money on him for a guy that got cut 2 years in a row, but he's a speedy linebacker. They love speed on defense. Big offseason news was they traded Antonio Brown to the Raiders for a 3rd and a 5th, and they did not re-sign Le'Veon Bell. So, addition by subtraction, I don't know what that means. Mike Munchak, offensive line coach, man. I just want to say, very underrated what he did there. He made that offensive line what it was. 3 out of the 4 healthy offensive linemen last year went to the Pro Bowl. DeCastro, Pouncey, and Villanueva. All the offensive linemen just praised him, man. They did so. He taught them everything. He was an awesome offensive lineman, but he went to Denver now to be their offensive lineman. I feel like that loss is not being talked about enough. He was awesome, man. So that sucks. They also had a draft that was very un-Steelers-like. They traded up big time to the 10th overall pick for Devin Bush. He's getting praised in camp already as a leader. He's all over the field. I feel like this was very, can I say ballsy?
Sure.
This was a very.
You already said it.
This was a very ballsy move by them. They gave up a 2nd-round pick and a 3rd-round pick next year, I believe. But they got their linebacker. They got their replacement for Shazier, and I feel like he's going to be really good. Deontay Johnson out of Toledo. Very nice pick. They said shades of Antonio Brown in this guy. He's shifty. He can be all over the field. Good pick. Benny Snell in the 4th. Hard-nosed running back between the tackles. Definitely goal line back. Someone to keep an eye on maybe in Dynasty. Who am I watching?
On the Steelers, you are watching Dante Moncrief.
No and yes.
Oh, okay.
I am watching James Washington and Dante Moncrief. Washington is the 47th receiver. Moncrief is the 56th receiver. James Washington finished the season. He had to struggle the first half of the season. Second half of the season seemed like he was picking up on a little better. Moncrief is impressing in OTAs already. Moncrief is the safer pick. Washington is the higher risk, higher reward pick. If I were some of these guys, man, and if you have a bigger draft with larger rosters, I pick both of them. And once things clear up a little bit in the first couple weeks, just drop the one that isn't taking hold of that number 2 spot. Who am I avoiding, Caleb? Can you even think of anyone to avoid on this team?
If I know you, I'm going to say it's Juju.
No, you don't know me, and that hurts a little bit. James Conner. And this was hard, man, because I like James Conner a lot, okay? But to get James Conner, you got to skip people like Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, Julio Jones, Michael Thomas, some really studly guys. Oh, Jalen Samuels is there, man. We were talking about him. He averaged more fantasy points in his 3 starts than Conner did in his starts. You got Benny Snell there, who's going to steal some of the carries. You got, like I said, Samuels is in there for catches. He's going to steal some carries. He had some injuries last year. Last year, he cooled off in the second half of the season. After week 9, he never had more than 65 yards rushing, 42 yards receiving, or he never had more than 15 carries. So they might have ran him into the ground the first half of the season. If the second half of the season is any preview of how this year's going to be, I would avoid where he's being taken. 8.5. Over under, Caleb.
Over.
Cha. Next.
Hurry,
Cincinnati
Bengals. Sorry, Cincinnati Bengals. I don't ever know if you're joking or not. I'm going to talk really fast because I want to get over this. Cincinnati Bengals. They were 6-10 last year. 6-10 last year, man. Andy Dalton is still there. Joe Mixon still their running back. Love Joe Mixon. AJ Green, is he going to be healthy this year? Tyler Boyd, who I love. They still have John Ross, Josh Malone. They have a lot of wide receivers to test out on that team. Can John Ross actually find some value rather than just being so fast that his legs explode and he explodes?
He's like one of those cartoons that like they run in place and then their feet go and their like head's still there and then it catches up.
This is the tricky thing about the Cincinnati Bengals is they are more of the one of the most injury-prone teams out there. You have Andy Dalton, who deals with injury problems. Joe Mixon, who has dealt with injury problems. AJ Green, their starting wide receiver, who, as we know, deals with injury problems. Their starting tight end is Tyler Eifert, who has been out most of his career. CJ Uzomah, who has even gone out. They did draft Drew Sample in the second round, another tight end that I don't know if you've read into him at all, but he's very enticing in an offense where I think Andy Dalton is going to use a tight end a lot. Drew Sample, rookie tight end to keep your eye on.
More
Not
like
a big fan of rookie tight ends, but that's it. Oh, great. Now he's known as the stool sample. Every week we're going to be like, you know who you guys can pick up? The stool sample.
Yeah. When you're going home, don't forget to pick up your stool sample. Go ahead.
Unfortunately, their number 1 overall draft pick, or I'm sorry, number 11 overall draft pick in the draft, Jonah Williams, had season-ending surgery already, and so he's gone. It doesn't move Joe Mixon down super far because I still think he's a very valuable running back. Giovanni Bernard has been coming out saying that he's getting reps with starters still, so there's going to be some back and forth work. But I love Tyler Boyd. I love AJ Green, even if I think he's being drafted a little too high. If Tyler Eifert could stay healthy, I think he is extremely valuable, but nobody's taking that risk, unfortunately. Who am I watching on this team?
You're going to be watching obvious or not?
Obvious for me.
Tyler Boyd.
You better watch yourself. Yeah, that's him. Tyler Boyd, I think at the value of where he is in the draft is much more valuable than AJ Green because you can grab a lot of people around AJ Green and then get Tyler Boyd in the same draft. And that's what I'm going to be doing. Who am I avoiding?
AJ Green?
Personally, I am. But
if I ever see him on the street, I'm going on the other side of it. I'm avoiding him literally.
I'm actually going to avoid Joe Mixon here. I think there's...
Oh.
Because of where he's being drafted, because of his current value, with who else is around him, okay? Again, players like Joe Mixon, James Conner, Todd Gurley, Dalvin Cook, Mike Evans, and that's not to mention all the tight ends, Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Zach Ertz, Antonio Brown. You have to ignore all of those players in order to take Joe Mixon right now. And for a player who is a good running back, can easily be a top 10 running back, to take him when they just lost a great offensive line piece, as well as on an offense that is very up and down. I just I'm going to avoid him and I'll take Dalvin Cook over him, and I'll take the risk of Dalvin Cook. Their over under, again, not great, is at 6.
Oh God,
they got to start winning at some point, right? Again,
do
they got to get back into it. No, probably not. I'm still going to take the over. I'll take 7.
Yeah, I don't see them going 5-11. They probably will end up 6-10, but if I have to choose an over/under, I guess I'll have to go over.
You got it.
You got it.
Hey, we just covered a whole division.
Yay!
We did it. It wasn't.
They said it wasn't possible.
It isn't. It's still not possible. No, that is the AFC North. I don't know. I still think the Steelers are going to win that division this year.
Nice.
That's just me. That's it. That takes care of 17. We did it.
Yeah.
Hey, one other piece of news that we didn't actually talk about at all is Josh Jacobs apparently is refusing to sign his contract. Like, they still haven't worked out a deal for him to sign his rookie
didn't this whole
deal.
Thing where most of this is not negotiable? It's like the slot you were drafted in. There's a certain pay scale.
It's when you get certain parts of your pay. It's really weird. And so there's a lot of speculation that it's not going to be done before training camp. So he's going to miss, as a rookie running back, he's going to miss a good portion of training camp. John Gruden does not take kindly to this kind of stuff. I'm curious to see on Hard Knocks how this plays out.
Ooh, juicy.
But might want to watch Josh Jacobs, as he's being drafted pretty high right now in 4th round, something like that.
Yeah. And, a little teaser is the last time someone missed the beginning of the season that was their first round pick was Jamarcus Russell, and we all know that turned out well.
They won the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yep, and he is currently in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. I don't know my NFL history anyway.
And a fat
I just
man.
wanted to mention that. Now, I'm going to go watch Aladdin and see what happens.
And I'm going to go watch King of Thieves.
You bought it on Amazon already.
Yeah, I'm currently bought it off of, what you said.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Okay. See you next week, everybody. Don't be a fool.